Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam, joining me today to discuss the finale of She-Hulk Season 1, finale of She-Hulk full stop, we don't know. It's my usual partner in crime, it's Stefan.
It's finale time!
How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Got a bit of a cold, thanks to having a daughter that attends the Germ Warfare Factory, also known as a school.
Yeah,
but that aside, so apologies if I cough at any point. I will try and edit it out, but yeah, apologies in advance. Joining us again to talk She-Hulk, the Marvel superfan, it's the wonderful, the lovely, it's Kaylee!
Oh, what an introduction. Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, well, it was a wonderful introduction because I'm in a very wonderful mood. It's She-Hulk time. It's one of the shows where I get to sit down. I have a plan. Every show we podcast about, I write my notes. I'm kind of like, okay, bullet points, and then I've got a roadmap to talk through the show. And with She-Hulk, I gotta be honest with you, vast majority of the time I'm like, I don't know what just happened. And in the finale, it was pretty much
so.
Well, I literally had notes written that I then binned because it was like, oh, so all of that, nope. Okay, so it is an episode, it's a series that has divided opinion. I think some of it is misogynistic and crap, so we're just going to dump that to one side. But of the opinion where it's just kind of like, oh, you know, this is for me, this is not for me, this is why it's not, this is why, it has divided that opinion as well. You know, the actual sane, rational person. So that's fine, and that's interesting in itself. The finale has tipped very much one way, which is, what the I was going to beat that out, I just stopped myself instead. So without diving into details, and please don't, because we'll bring it in later on. Kaylee, I'm going to open with you. You've watched the episode twice.
Yeah.
Focus on the first time. Focus on your first reaction. When that episode ended, what was your feelings?
Well, I can't tell you, or I can't repeat what I put into the message.
No.
That I said to you.
My beat machine's not here. Please don't. Yeah.
It was inexplicable.
Yeah,
is
confusion.
probably the word I would use.
Would you say confusion and kind of? Yeah, I mean, I was just.
It was a thinker.
I think one of the funniest things is we have a group chat for the three of us, and we debate Marvel stuff a lot because it's fun. It's what we do.
Yep.
And one of the funniest things is, Stefan, you were out all day. You were having a Marvel tattoo on your leg, which is very cool, by the way. And if anyone's interested in seeing it, he's starting an OnlyFans to show it off. $9.95. You get to see the tattoo and maybe one of his other legs. And it is, you basically weren't able to watch it, so we couldn't discuss the show.
No, you guys watched it at lunchtime. I didn't watch it until 9 o'clock at night.
But you basically said, like, killer. Oh, you know, you were like, was it good? Now, typically, one of us would be like, yeah, I thought so. You know, no spoilers, but yeah, it's interesting. And I literally just said, I got no words. I honestly don't know what to write. And I said,
no matter what, you could have told me exactly what would have happened. Yeah. And I would have turned around and gone, yeah, no, but was it a good episode?
Yeah, but it's like, I think I actually wrote in the chat, mate, until you watch this, I don't think you're going to understand why I'm so stuck.
Yeah.
Of what to say to you, because it's like, up until she literally breaks the Disney Plus fourth wall, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm following this, but she's breaking the fourth wall a lot, you know, it's like, and I'm writing these furious notes about we were right. That little bastard did it all the time.
We knew it was Todd, and we knew
that weaselly little git. And
yeah.
I was writing my notes about how happy I was that Pug was a decent guy, because that guy's always an asshole in everything I see him in. So I was kind of like, oh, that's great. Nikki's great. You know, Nikki's a true friend. I was writing all my notes and really happy, and yeah. and then it went mad. So I was like, okay, all those notes are gone. and I just didn't know how to describe it. So I have got some bullet points for before that happened. So let's start with the very start. Start at the very beginning. I'm sure there's a song about that. The introduction, Kaylee, old school Hulk. Now, did you watch that show when it used to be on like a Saturday morning?
Oh, blimey, I'm not that old.
Oh, what the hell? It was on in the 90s.
1997. 1977, sorry. That was...
Yeah, that's when it was first on in America, but it used to be shown on a Saturday afternoon in the UK in the 90s.
No, I didn't watch it then. I was far too busy playing with dolls.
Yeah.
Didn't know what she was going to say then.
I'm so glad she added the word dolls.
No, I didn't. I didn't watch it then, but the intro was brilliant. Loved it.
So, have you seen a side by side yet of the two?
What, for the clip from the show versus the old show?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things floating around on social media that
they're very good. It's very good, very very.
It was very cleverly done for it. Yeah,
it was fun, and it was kind of like as an introduction to the finale. I was like, oh, this is good. You know, setting the tone, how it feels. I was like, oh, this is a great start. And then bang, she's asleep in the cell they used to hold Blonsky. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, so I took kind of like a deep dive into my initial notes on this, which are now all out the window. But, Kaylee, you said in last week's show about, and you'd said to me and Stefan about how She-Hulk and her hulking out was treated differently to a male character. So a woman doing that to a male character, you kind of saw that she was being treated different. How did you react to that first scene of her basically being thrown into Blonsky's cell for smashing a wall? Granted, it didn't hurt anybody, whereas Blonsky literally ripped up an entire part of a city, murdering people, and they were both in that same cell.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extreme reaction versus the crime, isn't it? If you call it a crime in air quotes. Yeah. And it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I wasn't expecting that to be where she was. No. I don't know in my mind if I thought, oh, she would have run away and we'll find her in a cabin somewhere. I wasn't expecting her to have been locked up like that.
Yeah, I just thought she'd be facing charges for criminal damage, and that'd be a kind of side storyline,
See, I think we've forgotten something from the original. Remember the original Avengers film?
Yeah.
And how Loki is in that imprisonment sort of thing.
Yeah, that was made
and
for Hulk.
He makes the comment, this wasn't made for me, this was made for the Hulk.
Yeah.
She-Hulk is kind of at that stage of where Hulk was at that point. No one fully knows the power that She-Hulk has. So I'm not... I'm trying to... it's almost as if this is the first time they've seen her go full Hulk smash, Hulk rage.
Yeah.
No one knows the power. So I kind of, in my mind, drew parallels to... Okay, so this is where Hulk was basically in Avengers, where people were still terrified of him because they didn't know what he could do.
Yeah.
So seeing her in that cell, for me, I was kind of like, well, it kind of makes sense in a sense. In a sense, it makes sense because no one knows fully what her capabilities are.
Yeah, the major difference for me is obviously Hulk was an entire different persona, whereas She-Hulk, I mean, it is difficult because of the way it was kind of filmed. It is difficult to know. I kind of speculated last week that she did actually lose it and perhaps a Hulk persona took over in those seconds. But
the growling, yeah.
The way it was discussed at the beginning of this week's episode didn't actually come across that way. She didn't at any point say, to the Fourth War or to any of the other characters that she lost control. She just literally says, "I was angry."
Yeah.
And in my opinion, very justifiably.
Rightfully so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I kind of actually really loved the interaction with Mallory, because Mallory might have sounded harsh in this moment, but I think her point was so excellent, which is, she said, like, "I was angry. Anyone would have been angry." It's like, yeah, you're right, but not everyone's a Hulk.
Yeah.
And although, every woman, every man has the right in any situation like that to be angry that someone has invaded your private, just the worst, horrible way, and has done that to you. There has to be kind of like a superhero higher standard, because you are superpowered. You are to that level. If Bruce did that and just smashed his way through a building, you would like to think, it would be the same reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether that's the reality, I don't know. But you would like to think it's the same reaction. And that's kind of what Mallory is saying. It's like, yeah, you're right. You had every right to be pissed, but all people saw was Hulk smash.
Yeah.
No one's talking about what they did to you. No one's talking about that. All they're talking about is you smashed the wall and scared the crap out of a group of people. It kind of fits the theme of the whole show, which is narrative. Like, she has kind of had this thing pushed upon her the whole time of, you are now She-Hulk, you are this, you are that. And she's kind of struggled for a long time to find her own position on it. And in the previous episode, via talking with Matt Murdock, she seemed to finally find that balance, that kind of like happiness of, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, I can be both, I can find a way of living this life. And then obviously the episode ended the way it did and kind of threw all that into chaos again. What did you think of Kaylee? What did you think of the inhibitor being used on her? Like, straight away in my mind at this point was just like, oh wow, really is going the way of like the X-Men with the collars.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a shock to me that they used that. I think we were all expecting these things to make an appearance again.
Yeah.
I'm sad actually that they felt the need to put it on Jen when actually, she reacted that way because she was provoked in such a vicious personal attack. Yep. I think I know, obviously we know this isn't real life, but you need to use some common sense in these situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a shame, and actually it worries me for the future stories. How is this kind of tech going to be used, and how are they going to write this into the stories, the pain we're going to see from the other characters because of stuff like this,
Yeah, and this is kind of the funny thing with this episode, and Stefan, I'll bring you in on this. At this point in the episode, and at that moment, I am writing notes, okay? I am writing notes about what that can mean. Everything Kaylee's just said then, what that could mean for people with enhanced abilities. So are we going to get to a stage where, like, someone who's just natural human, doesn't have any abilities, does something, and they get a rap on the knuckles? Someone with abilities does the same thing. They got an inhibitor thing whacked on their ankle. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute. Yeah. He was jaywalking gets you that now? What's going on?
It does feel like it's going to go down like you said about the X-Men route. Yeah. And is that kind of, maybe that's where they're going to build, because we know what's going to happen 4, 5 and 6 phases. Yeah. Phases 7, 8, 9 is still very much a mystery. Will there be phases 7, 8, 9? If there are, what's going to happen with them, etc. Yeah. I am wondering already if this is where they're starting to plant seeds.
Well, I always liked that arc in X-Men. I felt it was a really interesting take on how people would really deal with people with abilities in the real world. And sadly, I think that's true. I think people would just be terrified and would
people don't like things they don't understand and don't like things they can't control.
Therefore, and that's the main thing.
Yeah. So therefore, if you've suddenly got looking at the X-Men, the group of mutants with these powers that can do whatever they want sort of thing, that's going to terrify the general public because they don't understand and they can't control it. So that storyline for me has always been brilliant because it's like, oh, it's horrible, it's horrific. That's exactly how I would expect the world to react.
Yeah, which is why I think it's important sometimes for art in terms of comics or books or film, TV, to show that, so the world can look at it and go, oh, that's awful, is that? Oh, yeah. And then maybe, just maybe, the world might not react like that. Of course, since the pandemic, I realised that's crap. People will literally fight for toilet roll.
Yeah.
But moving on. Kaylee, I'm going to bring you on this one because I think this probably put a big smile on your face. How much did you enjoy Nikki and Pug breaking down Intelligentsia?
Oh, I love Pug. Absolutely love Pug. And I'm so happy that, at this point that Nikki is still Nikki.
Yeah.
And,
not a witch.
And all of that. We'll get to that another day, I'm sure. But it made me so happy that she's got her people.
So Pug was me in this episode, right? Because Pug has this moment of like, don't make me go in there with these assholes, which I have felt so many times in work events. and I kind of just looked at that, and then he walks up and it's the bro brigade. Oh, bro, bro, what do you think about, oh, yeah, man, yeah, all this. And he's like, nope, I can't do it. She's in his ear. Get in there, talk to them. And remember to refer to people as females. And when she said that, honestly, I had some sort of like flashback to being around people, and that is so true. These types of guys do say, oh yeah, females, and it just makes my skin crawl.
They are gross.
They're categorized as jerks. Yeah,
so when he was in there and he was, and you could see, the guy is acted this character so funny. I mean, earlier in the episode, I've left several voicemails. I tried to sound pretty cool considering I was calling the actual Hulk. That was great. He's a proper fanboy of the Avengers. But then when he's doing this, and you can see like he is almost vomiting words like, yeah, makes me sick. He's like really struggling. Doesn't like that guy at all. We find out that Todd's the one behind Intelligentsia. That was... okay, not a massive shock, but kind of like...
Was there, just quick, I want to ask you guys a question. Was there a split second when we see Nikki uploading the video to Intelligentsia? There was that split second that I was like, oh no, we were wrong. She isn't good at all. Oh my God, she's the bad
It was... Yeah, I'll admit that. There was a second where...
Oh no!
There was literally a second where I thought, what are you doing? And then I clicked. I did think to myself, even when she did, it's like, there's no way Jen would have approved that. There's like no way Jen would have been like, yeah, put that on there so you can make more friends. But no.
Yeah, there was just that saying which goes, oh, Jen, forgive me for what I'm about to do. And I'm like, oh, no! Oh, no, wait. Oh, that was easy. Okay, I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant. I really like her.
That was a theory I didn't want to get right, and I'm so glad I didn't.
she had another line in the show which made me laugh as well. When she was like, "Oh, I stole everything from this." Jen's cleaning out her office in her kind of montage, showing her life falling apart, where she's lost her job, given up her apartment, and she's packing her box for her. It's like, I stole all the food from the place. This place is crap, but I will be staying here because they pay me a lot of money. Yes. It's like, I love you. We're together on this, but I will remain here because the job's good.
Good pay. Yeah.
What we have this kind of weird convoluted thing where Jen breaks the fourth wall to talk about wanting to get away. She tries to message her cousin Bruce, won't deliver. Tries to message Blonsky. We know the signal there is crap. It won't deliver. And she's like, do you know what? You said I could come anytime. So that's what I'm going to do. She heads to Blonsky's compound. She's met by Wrecker, who attacked her in like episode 2 or 3. He's now her best mate, welcomes her with a hug and gets her some tea. But she wants to speak to Blonsky. When did you click they were in the same place? Or when? Because I only clicked it when he said, oh, he's at the hut. He's got some sort of, he's doing a talk. And I was like, oh, no way.
Yeah, that was when my penny dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. Kaylee, what about you?
Yeah, same. It didn't register at all that was where they were all going to end up together.
So we do end up with this crazy mess of a scene. So Jen walks in, the intelligentsia boys like, oh, it's She-Hulk or Jen Walters, and they all start, boo, she's a woman. Oh, I've never touched one of them before. And then you've got Todd being a jerk, talking about, yeah, you heard me.
Yeah, I'm just imagining that's the storyline of pretty much every toxic male in the comment section of everything from Marvel in the last week. Yeah.
It is basically that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a woman, I don't know what to do with one of them. And so Todd goes on about, not only did I do this to you via this website, I paid that handsome man to steal your blood, and now I've got it, and I'm going to inject myself. And he does that, and he hulks out, and Blonsky is, tries to save Jen from him, and then Bruce comes in and gets the wrong end of the... And it's chaotic, and I am like... Titania comes smashing through a wall.
Nikki's like, is there any way you can't get rid of this person? Yeah.
And narrating this craziness is Jen. Jen is breaking the fourth wall. Like, what is going on? This is crazy. Why is that person there? This is already overcomplicated. And I think she turns to the camera and she says, are you enjoying this? And then, boom, I go to the Disney Plus menu. I genuinely looked at my remote like, whoa, did I hit a button?
I think the bulk of the population watching that show did the same thing.
Yeah. And then I heard her voice and I was like, oh, wow, they have...
There's breaking the fourth wall, and then there's taking it down brick by brick and leaving it in a pile.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause a second because this show is very much in two parts. There was all of that we've just discussed, and then my bullet points for the next section. But so for the bits we just discussed, so before that happened, my head was Todd was the big bad. He had all the money and he was clearly just some insane idiot who wanted superpowers.
Yeah.
And I was my notes were along the lines of, this is kind of a stupid done again storyline, ironically. But Todd hulking out. But one of my notes, the CGI for Todd was pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, compared to if you compare it to the start of the show, like I think the CGI for She-Hulk, by the way, is good. But right at the very start of the show, I think like episode 1, there were a few moments that were you looked at it and you kind of went, "Oh, that's weird." Like when it was her compared to Hulk, you could see that they got his template nailed. And hers was still a bit off. But over the course of the show, like in the finale, there was an ironic scene where he talked about how expensive it was. And it was like, that's probably because they've got it nailed now, mate.
Yeah.
But for his kind of like hulking out transformation, considering it is like a TV show, I was kind of like, oh, okay. That was...
It was like the way they did it with the kind of like that arm goes first.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, ow, like heavy arm, big feet. That was quite fun to watch. The CGI looked good, to be fair. At this point, like I wasn't writing it. I've only seen the episode once. I know you guys have now watched it twice.
Yeah.
I've still only seen it once just because of time. But it was kind of... I'm watching that scene and my head is just kind of going, it's too obvious. You know what I mean? Like everything that... I know we've been discussing this for the last 8 weeks on the podcast.
Yeah.
And we were like, we reckon it's Todd. We reckon Emil's going to be involved. I know Kaylee was a proper advocate for Titania's going to reappear and it's going to be good. And kind of like, I'm sat there watching it going, nah, we've ticked too many boxes now. What is going on? Like, it went from Todd being the bad guy, yeah, knew it. Emil's involved, yeah, knew it. Titania's back and Hulk's got the wrong end of the stick, and I'm like, yeah, this... Right.
Kaylee?
But that was the point, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, it was absolutely just a mental 30 seconds. I've never seen anything like it. And like you, it was a bit, what?
It was overload. It was...
And then it was the second time I watched it that it clicked, and it was like,
Okay, so we're now about to enter the fourth wall break of all fourth wall
Twilight
breaks.
Zone, I feel, yeah.
Now that's apt. Welcome, audience of the Stuff and Things podcast, to the ultimate fourth wall break.
Love the fact we didn't plan that, but you had that lined up. That is
I did.
amazing.
I did have that lined up. That was literally my plan. We start. So I've got bullet points, okay? And the first one is the Disney Plus screen. She jumps down. She smashes through the Avengers Assemble. Did anyone notice there was an interview going on as she ran through it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Interview with Chris Hemsworth. Go back and watch it. It's in the background.
Oh,
Missed
sick.
that.
Yeah.
You don't see him. It's a silhouette. But in that episode currently, it's about Thor: Love and Thunder.
Makes sense.
So,
yeah.
and there's an interview in there where, and the line, the actual interview is going on while she smashes and runs through.
That's pretty cool.
When she runs through, she makes her way through the Disney lot to the Marvel Studios and finds herself at the She-Hulk writers' room. I watched this a second time so I could basically pause, zoom, and read everything written on the walls. Because I'm a freaking nerd. First of all, did you all notice that they dropped a pretty massive hint that this show could get a season 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think season 2 should just be one big dream sequence, one of them says.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that person needs to be slapped to start with. Did you notice the final act written on the wall behind her for the finale?
No, I didn't get a chance to read through.
Final act, Jen dies. 3 exclamation marks is what it says.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. So she confronts the writers. By the way, at this point, I'm just watching this with a kind of glazed look in my eye, I think, just baffled and confused. And the writers are like, well, you know, this is the ending that Kevin wants. And I'm like, we're talking about Feige. And they're like, and the guy says, I will die before I let you speak to Kevin. I was like, whoa, that's very cultish, which she then calls it out as that's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
And she then heads to the Marvel head office, which is the genuine Marvel head office. She-Hulk walks in, speaks to the receptionist about seeing Kevin, has to sign an NDA to even enter the building.
Now that I love, just as a little touch, that was great.
It's like, and then hits an alarm. It's like, why did I have to sign the NDA if you're going to do that anyways? Like, everyone has to sign an NDA. Yeah. Which is pretty true. The next thing, which was a kind of, again, and I'm watching this with absolute glazed eyes, just baffled at what's going on. We got a corridor fight from She-Hulk.
Corridor scene!
Which is a kind of a fun little nod to the Daredevil stuff that we saw last week, and she got to do it, and it was like the way they captured her walking on the security camera as well. It reminded me of when Natasha Romanoff walked in for the first time and just took out everyone at Hammer Tech by herself.
Yeah.
And poor Happy was like fighting one guy the whole time she's taking out an army. I enjoyed that. I was kind of like fun, but then my brain just kept going, but this is in the real world. This, like, she's broken the foot, so she's actually beating people up in the real world.
Yeah.
And so my brain was kind of fried. She then gets into this big room where Kevin is, and you're kind of like, okay, this is going to be Feige's office. Now, I know for a fact that guy has said he never wants to make a cameo because he said that was Stan Lee's thing.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't want to do it. So my brain is going over like, well, it can't be Kevin Feige. I wonder if it's going to be something stupid like an actor pretending to be Kevin Feige, or I'm just so lost at this point. I don't know what's about to happen. Instead, we get a AI called Kevin. Yeah. Now, for a star to move you to the front of the class, do either of you know what Kevin stands for?
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to really annoy myself because I was going to write this down and I didn't.
Knowledge, enhanced vision, interconnectivity nexus.
She's nailed it.
Fair
Is that
play.
right?
Yeah.
You can Google fast. Fair play to you.
I did rewind that 3 or 4 times because I kept missing it and I couldn't work it out.
I couldn't work out what the hell the K stood for. What? No, hey, what? Oh, yeah. I see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Kevin's an AI.
With a baseball cap. Like, that was the bit that got me. He's even wearing, like, the way the little bit above
it's the
eyes
lens thing, yeah. Makes
the
it look
lens
like
he's got the baseball cap on, which is Kevin Feige's sort of thing.
So, okay, before we dive into what actually happens then when she meets with Kevin, because there's some very funny lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Based on, Stefan, where are you at this point? So, you've been watching the episode, the fourth wall's just got destroyed, and she's walked into this room, you've just been introduced to Kevin. Where's your head right now?
So, all cards on the table, complete honesty.
Yep.
I had almost turned it off about 2 minutes beforehand.
Oh, wow.
She breaks through the Disney screen, the Disney Plus screen. She breaks into the the Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
She's walking through the outside lot to walk into the building.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there going, nah, too far. Like, this is the fourth wall breaks. I enjoyed the fourth wall breaks. They're very Deadpool-ish, and I love Deadpool. I loved the fourth wall breaks. It was good fun.
Right.
This, for me, I was like, no, because now she's in the quotations real world.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, this is taking it too far. This is now completely just taking the piss out of itself.
Yeah.
So therefore now where is the seriousness left? Because you're now, I know you said before about the whole fourth wall breaks, you were a bit nervous of them because of the whole, do you take it serious, do you not, if they know?
Yeah.
And this has now taken it to such an extreme. I'm sat there watching it going, no, I'm out. Like, it's literally I know it's meant to have taken me out the show because she's come out the show herself, but I'm sat there like, it's too much. This is now... Why am I... What is going on? I don't... What?
Yeah, I mean, the fourth wall breaks thing was a concern for me, whether I'd be able to take the character seriously then if the character was to appear in an ensemble film or anything. I'd probably find that troubling. Yeah. Or at least I wouldn't feel that their stakes would be real, because why would that character take it seriously when they know it's all made up? It's all written. Oh, okay, I don't like... You couldn't have her show up in an Avengers movie or in the big ensemble films that's coming, because at any point she doesn't like something, she could break the fourth wall and go tell the writers to change it. So that's where
I was. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of... It's difficult because, Deadpool as a character could do that same thing, but he's not been in the MCU yet. And when they introduce him, it's going to be weird potentially for that as well. How they do that for me is going to be challenging, to be honest with you.
Very much so. So in my head at the moment, I've got, okay, so Thor has just hit Thanos in the shoulder and the chest with his Stormbreaker. Yeah. Thanos has looked at him and gone, you should have gone for the head. He's clicked, and as he's clicked, Jen Walters has gone, whoa! No, rewind it back. Thor, aim at his head, okay? Aim at the head. Go again. That's kind of how I'm seeing it at this point, and I'm like, oh no, no. For me, I was troubled at this point.
Well, this is your favourite Marvel show on Disney Plus, remember?
Yeah, I said that, didn't I?
You did say that.
Yeah.
Kaylee, I'll bring you in as well. So again, you've watched it again, and you've got a different understanding of it now, you feel, which we'll come to in a minute if you don't mind. But if you can channel back to your first viewing. She's just sat down with Kevin, walked into that room. Where were you? Because I just felt lost. Stefan wanted to turn it off. Where were you?
I didn't quite get to the point of wanting to turn it off, because at that point it was almost a morbid curiosity. Where the
hell is this going? Yeah.
Going. There is no way on earth that I could have ever predicted what was going to happen, and that scene and that whole setup. It was just bizarre, and it just baffled me. And I'm sat there thinking, what the is going on?
Yeah.
But that was good because it was a surprise.
Yeah, it certainly was a surprise.
At the same time, I'm thinking, what has the last 8 weeks been about?
See, now that's the interesting thing I want to bring up with you both, because one of the things content creators, podcasters, everyone like that, we are greatly encouraged by Marvel to watch their stuff and talk about it. We're basically free promotion for them.
Yeah.
And we have, as Kaylee just said, for 8 weeks, watched the show and have built theories on what we've been given week in, week out. And we've really discussed it and gone through, you know, okay, this is in the background, and we've discussed each episode. And each episode has kind of held a bit of a mirror to society to say, hey, we're making jokes here, but this happens, you know? And we've discussed that, and that's been good. And we've discussed, oh, there's something sinister in the background. Is it part of a bigger picture? Is it part of someone within the show? To get to this scene here where she literally agrees with the Kevin to just erase those storylines. Don't like that. Don't like that. I want that gone. I just watched it and I just thought that's literally 8 weeks of programming, 8 episodes, where you've fed us story to build just to go, nope.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not pissed off, but I was just kind of like, I don't get what you're doing here. I don't get, you know, because anyone who's invested in the storylines are going to be pissed. Anyone who didn't like the show you're not going to win them over with this.
Oh
you
man,
know,
they are running riot on social media. They are at the moment.
Yeah. So anyone who didn't like the show is kind of now using this finale as justification for everything they've said all along. Anyone who really got into it and got into the storyline aspect of building towards something is now pissed because that got thrown. And anyone who just kind of like was sat on the fence has probably gone, I don't get it. So in my brain, I was sat watching it thinking, I don't know what they're doing here. I'm Katie, I think what you just said then, more with curiosity. I'm like, I'm watching this to the very end and to the very end of the credits as well, just because I need to understand. I need to get this.
At that point, I'm thinking, is there going to be? Have we got another hour? Because I need an hour to unpick this.
Yeah, and there just wasn't. So I will say though that probably one of my favourite lines, you know, Hulk's smashing things is what we do. Bruce smashes buildings. I smash fourth walls and bad plot lines, and occasionally Matt Murdock. That literally cracked me up.
Oh, best line of the season.
The funniest thing for me is that we kind of joked about the Hulk smash, or like She-Hulk smash, being used in a very different context, and they literally have run with that. Like they now She-Hulk smash means something very different.
But it explains why this Matt Murdock is a lot happier bloke than the Daredevil series.
You can say that again. Yeah, that guy's got a smile like you wouldn't believe. Him and his sonar. So she does erase these plot lines, and then the show kind of resumes. One thing
she asks about when the X-Men movie's coming.
Yeah, sorry.
Smile.
Sorry, I will say the X-Men line as well, and she does the big thumbs up to the fans like, I asked for you.
Yeah.
That was funny. But here's a question for you. That was her breaking the fourth wall after she broke the fourth wall. So how many walls are there?
Well, it's squared, isn't it?
It's just, I'm just so baffled. Like, she broke the fourth wall into the real world, and then who's she putting a thumbs up to? I don't know. Anyway.
So was that Jennifer Walters, or was that Tatiana Maslany, who's the actress? Like,
No, that was Jen Walters, because she crossed over.
And this is where my confusion was coming from.
Yeah.
I'm like, because they're talking about CGI budgets and things like that, and I'm like, so is he talking to Jennifer or is he talking to the actress? Like,
no, he's talking to Jen. I mean that cracked me up as well, because the amount of shit that he got given for their CGI,
it's too expensive.
and then he makes the joke about, because our CGI people have moved on to the next project.
Yeah.
Which was this massive thing on social media about, oh, Marvel are overworking their CGI people and they can't have enough time on any one project anymore. So they just took the piss out of it, which is what this show did, and seemingly is what the show was.
The next question is, it's to both of you. This is, when they filmed the She-Hulk show.
Yeah.
How long ago do you think this actual finale was filmed? Because I know we said, it was either last week or the week before, we said about they're getting a lot of these jokes incredibly well timed and well accurate to what is currently being said.
I can actually answer this because I looked it up. She-Hulk closed filming well over a year ago. So post-production, which is CGI and stuff, yeah, but well over a year ago.
Because the amount of things, even in this one scene with Kevin,
yeah,
the amount of things, of that and the bro community with, who needs a Lady Thor, and all that rubbish. The amount to be honest with you, that's got spot on.
Yeah, but that's existed just ever since the comic book came out. You know, the comic book of Lady Thor came out 5 years before Lady Thor appeared in Love and Thunder. So they're just basing it off of the reaction for that.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's just, the jokes they were able to make. The fact a year ago they were able to make a When's the X-Men film coming? You know, but all that...
they knew.
They knew their plans, but it was just... That could have been filmed 3 days ago.
Yeah,
the way the jokes and the comments was so on point.
I do kind of hang my head a little bit in shame at the fact that they were able to do it, though.
Yeah.
That they were able to predict the response to this show so accurately.
Like, you think
and
there
then
was...
make jokes at that expense so accurately.
A few episodes ago where Jen makes the joke about Wong being in the episode, so at least I'm safe on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm like... And they made this a year ago, but they knew how people would react. Which then puts me into one of two places.
Okay.
Number one, that is genius to be able to know what is coming and face it head on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, a seriously ballsy move that Marvel knew that this was the reaction it was going to get and still went, nah, we're going to make it.
I think it's because their intent and their plan is to make content for a wider audience and not just one target anymore. They're trying to spread that. So when they're making a show now, they're looking at it from the point of view of, we're going to make this show, we hope everyone likes it, but we especially hope that this particular community feel they're part of the Marvel Universe now, because that's what they're hoping to do. And I feel like for me, She-Hulk, my opinion's changed massively actually, so I'm going to hold that. Kaylee, what do you think?
No, I was just going to say the word genius. Actually, I have written down just the word genius.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're going to be talking to me. That's kind.
Well, yeah, that's obviously what it is. But you know, the Marvel are so aware of everything that they're doing. They're very self-aware, and they know, like you say, the controversy that some of these things are going to bring.
Yeah.
And you know, it was either going to be a big "fu" to some people, or a massive warm welcome. And I like to fall on the latter, actually. You know, welcome to a whole new band of merry Marvel men, people, not men, people.
Charming.
to the crew. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, not men. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Not men.
Not men. Yeah. You suck.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Please don't come for me.
Totally your sex tape.
Yeah. Oh, for God's sake, enough. Honestly, all week I've had this. Jeez.
It's the fact she even loses the poshness when you do it because she's angry.
I know. She reverts to Bristolian like, I'm going to come over there, I'm going to smash your gobs.
I'm not coming back again now because you just pick on me.
Oh.
Goodness me. I forgot what I was saying now. Move on. Title of
my sex tape. Right. So we do go back to the show as the show is. We see Todd's arrested. We have this kind of fun moment where She-Hulk marches towards him. Titania, we're about to witness a murder. She's live streaming. Jen sensibly returns to Jen and is like, I'm going to see you in court, bitch. Well, she actually says babe, I think, but I would prefer bitch. And he's like, I didn't mean, and police take him away. He's arrested. Blonsky has to sign to say yes, he violated his parole and he's a bad boy. And he's going back for 10 years.
Yeah.
We then see Daredevil arrive for absolutely no reason at all, other than the fact Other than the fact she asked for him, and Kaylee, why did she ask for him?
Say that again. I missed that.
Why did you catch why Jen asked for Daredevil just to show back up again?
No, I didn't. Did I?
She said to Kevin because women have needs.
Oh.
And Kevin said, yes, that's something we've not really, catered for a lot.
So my take from that scene was a man comes to save the day and he's too late. Girl's already done it. But
okay.
We can go with the less ladylike
with a very different idea.
I was going to say, I think She-Hulk Smash was all Jen had in mind, but fair enough. But no, that works. That works well. We then get to see quite a nice scene with Matt Murdock having lunch with Jen's family, who, as we commented before, are a family, and it's hilarious. Did
anyone else just get major Fast and the Furious vibes?
Yeah.
I don't watch
the
that.
Family. We end every film, every Fast and Furious film ends with the family having lunch outside at a long table. Family, family, family. And I was just watching it going, they're taking the piss out of that one.
No, I've never watched that crap, so I don't know. What I did find kind of funny, though, in this was, so you have your own law practice. Yeah, in Hell's Kitchen. That doesn't sound like a very nice place. It's like, no, it's fine. It's where I grew up. Do you earn much money? How much money do you have? It's a lot of money to raise kids in California. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Matt Murdock comments. I didn't think that's where this was going to go. Matt, you speak for all of us. I did not see this show going this way whatsoever.
I did feel like Matt's line was a little bit of a nod to the audience, that one.
Yeah.
Not where I saw this going. You and me both, buddy. You and me both.
And then, just as randomly as everything, the Hulk arrives. Bruce is there, says hello to everyone. Sorry I've been away, been on Sakaar. I'll explain all later, but I want to introduce you to somebody. Here's my son.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm kind of just done. I'm like, right, okay, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Oh look, Hulk's got a son, great. Stefan, I know very limited bits and pieces about the comic book arc with his son. What's your thoughts on Hulk now having a son?
My instinct was, called it, yes. I was right. Okay. He was sent back. He was sent back to get the son. This is awesome. And then my brain went to, oh my God, are they actually going to do World War Hulk? Or are they just nod to the audience that people have said he must have been summoned back to go get his kid? Oh my God, what's happening next?
Okay. Kaylee, what was your reaction to the Hulk bringing his son?
It was the same as Stefan, actually, although it was so sort of quick and you miss it,
Yeah.
I have so many questions, we're just going to have to wait, but I'm hoping that it is some kind of confirmation of, what we're going to see in the future, definitely. But it was just like the rest of the show, random, plonk, here you go, move on, quick, go.
It was a random plonk. That's very accurate, yeah. For the show, that was, yeah. There was, of course, a line earlier when Jen was talking about, no, I don't want Bruce jumping back in to save me. It's not needed. And Kevin was trying to interrupt her, say, no, because we need to. And she said, save it for the movie.
Yes.
So a lot of people were kind of jumping on that. We do have an after credit, finally, after weeks of not having one. And that after credit sees Blonsky sat in his cell ready to leave, Wong opening a portal for him. He's not going to stay in jail for 10 years. He's going to go to Kamatage. And we get Wong once again basically admitting that he was late because he's binge watching TV. We really do live in a golden age of television, he says, which was great. And then the show ends, and I'm going to tell you this, the after credit happened and I let it roll. I let it roll right to the very end just to see if there was another one because I was still baffled.
Yep.
And I switched my TV off and I messaged the group to say, I've watched it. And then Kaylee, when you'd finished watching it, I think I messaged you just to go, I don't get it. And I spent hours in the day constantly going back to it in my mind, just kind of wonder why they did, okay, and what does it mean? And does it, what? And I watched it a second time last night. And the main reason for the second time was just a bit of an Easter egg hunt, but also I just sort of thought, if I watch it a second time, I wonder if it's going to become clearer to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out what I think of what they've tried to do with this show, and then I'm going to bring you both in to do the same, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that this show, what they've tried to do across 9 episodes, is establish a character, which I think they've been able to do, an origin of a character as well, an origin story, which they've been able to do. And I think after the second viewing, I've realised that their plan, if they are going to have a season 2, which they hinted at heavily, is this character, as Kevin tells her, she's not going to be in a film, is always going to be a sitcom based in the MCU, looking at the MCU with a kind of, let's take the piss out of ourselves. So in essence, becoming every time we do a phase, we're going to have a She-Hulk series. And the She-Hulk series is basically going to make jokes at our own expense for all the stuff that we've kind of made mistakes over or we look at, or the fan reaction to certain things. And we're going to have a little fun with it. And yeah, we'll throw some cameos in and we'll do some bits and pieces. But generally, it's going to be a satirical look at ourselves and have some fun at ourselves. Now, knowing that, or if that is the case, then I would watch a season 2 probably with a smile on my face on the basis of that's what it is. If, however, the show, if I'm interpreting that wrong, and actually no, this is just an establishment show for a character that is now in the MCU and can show up anywhere, I didn't like it. If that is the case, then I think the fourth wall thing, the thing I was worried about, has wrecked it for me, because it is going to be very, very difficult to take any situation at all she's in seriously. So, like I said, it's a crossroad thing with it, where I've watched the finale, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of fun that I could never have predicted, like in a million years, and I watched so much of this stuff, I could never have predicted that finale. You could have asked me to come up with 50 guesses and not one of them would have been close to that.
Yep.
And that's fun. In a lot of ways, there's a part of me that's kind of like, okay, well done. You completely threw me. But then there's this other part of me that feels like that was a massive middle finger to a lot of fans. It felt like that was actually a massive FU. And that's kind of a dangerous thing to do. It's like, you've got this massive core audience, and the core audience are a bit grumbly about stuff you're doing. You've got two choices. You stay your path and you keep going, and you accept the fact that some of them's going to drop away, but you are going to get new viewers. But in this instance, it didn't feel like that. It felt like we're not going to stay the path. We're also going to make an entire 9-episode show to tell you how stupid you are for not liking what we're doing. And that's a dangerous thing. So that's kind of my thoughts. Like I said, if my interpretation of it is that this is going to be a show that sits like nicely alongside the MCU, in the MCU, but kind of like right there on the ledge where all the events kind of happening, and we're going to get a real satirical view of it from her, great. I think that'll work and it'll be funny, and I will sit and happily watch. If it's not that, and she's going to be part of the MCU and then the fourth wall and all that stuff, I just feel like this has kind of killed that for me. So that's my opinion. That's my thoughts. Who would like to go next?
I would like to go next, because I feel like Kaylee is going to be kind of like the real feel good factor wrap up
to finish on. Okay.
So
and she can call me a fool. A fool. Okay, mate, go for it.
So for me, I said early on She-Hulk was the favourite series for me on Disney Plus. I think the finale has knocked it into third place behind WandaVision and Moon Knight. However, saying that, if you're going on pure entertainment value, this whole series has been brilliant. It's been laughter, it's been fun. Last week's episode is probably in my top 5 episodes that the Disney Plus shows have done overall. It had everything in it. There's been so many good things have come out of this series. But I'm kind of with you a bit on the finale of if your business plan is to put a middle finger up to the people that aren't on board with it, that's a really big risk to take. And looking at it as like a business model sort of thing, if you've got something that works fantastically well, I think the rule is if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I understand that Marvel are using these Disney Plus shows to try and reach out to a bigger audience and to gain more of an audience and gain more followers, which of course is a very sensible thing to do. We've discussed Harry Styles joining the MCU. For us, it's like why the hell would you do that? For my little sister, who's 22 years old and never really watched Marvel, that's the best news she's ever heard. She can't wait to watch anything that's got Harry Styles in it. So,
yuck.
Yeah, I can understand, you need to broaden horizons and things, but to actually turn around and kind of take the piss out of people at the same time, it's brave. It's very, very brave. And if you look at the social media comments and things, like I think in the group chat, I sent you guys a link to their Instagram post of the morning before the finale came out. And it was all about, tomorrow's season finale. And so many of the comments was, thank God that's over. Not watched it. I'm only watching this because I feel like I have to see if there's any links. So much negativity in it. If you've made a show and that Marvel and Feige and everyone else have said, I love this is brilliant, this is what we want, and people have gone, it's not for me, and given it hate, fair enough, they've still done it. If they've made a show purposely to get some people on board, but to almost kind of activate this toxic audience, and then use the finale to kind of put a finger up at them and go, we know you're out there, we see you, this is aimed at you, I'm like, that could really backfire big time. So I'm a bit nervous. The same with you, and as I said about the whole Thanos thing earlier, I'm now very nervous to see where She-Hulk and Jen appear.
Yeah.
Before the finale, if She-Hulk or Jen Walters had appeared in the Daredevil show, I'd have been all for that. She's come to visit Hell's Kitchen for the weekend and she appears and helps Daredevil out with something. I'd have been loving it.
Yeah.
I'm now at the stage of She-Hulk needs to kind of have a fence around it. That is the She-Hulk series. This is what we're going to do with it. This is what future seasons are going to be. She will have cameos in her show because then she can take the mickey out of it because it's in her show. But I feel like they've almost made it now that she can't appear in anyone else's show because you're going to completely jump the shark.
Okay.
So enjoyment levels, really high. Love the show. Future plans, very nervous.
You say love the show. You don't sound like you love the show.
I love the show based purely on the entertainment of watching 35 minutes of TV each week. Would I go back and watch it again? Yes, I would. I found it very enjoyable. But the finale scared me. The finale worried me, basically. Of like, it's the future. The future plans are what concern me.
Okay. All right. Kaylee, you've listened to us bitch and whine. Bring it
on. So I'm not a million miles away from the train of thought that you guys are on. Yep. I have really actually enjoyed 8 of the 9 episodes.
Okay.
I didn't not enjoy episode 9. There's part of me that thinks it probably wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't necessary. If it had just ended with, the second half, forget all of the, the big fight scene, forget the, the meta break and the fourth wall, take all of that out and Kevin, and just go back to having her, fighting her corner in court.
Yeah.
I would have been completely satisfied with that. I didn't need to have the big ingest, I think, middle finger to everyone. But I know why they've done it, and I can appreciate why they've done it. But it's very tongue in cheek. I think if anyone who may identify as being in that group of haters takes that seriously, is offended by it, is, Marvel have, pointed a finger at me and, they've upset me, then, just get over it,
Careful.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
They're taking the mickey out of themselves with this. They're poking fun at the reputation that Marvel has, and we've said it before, it's big fight scene, daddy issues, man saves the day type thing, even down to, the lack of love story for the female characters and the outfit. Then, and Marvel are very aware of that. And I think if we'd have not acknowledged it, it might have lost something. But don't be offended by it. Just, it's a bit of fun. I think it's completely standalone. I'm not convinced that we will see Jen outside of her own series. I don't think it will work. I would love to see season 2, season 3 of just cameo every week.
Yeah.
A standalone story every episode, something funny, something light. She's got her place, but it's absolutely standalone. And I think it's probably, just completely changed the whole Marvel formula for that show, not for the rest of the films.
Yeah.
I'm not in my mind now thinking, Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty, whatever, is going to be all lovey-dovey, happy-clappy, because it's not. They haven't ruined the Marvel franchise with this at all. It's just completely an outlier, and I really enjoyed it. But I don't think it deserves the hate that it's got.
No, I don't think it deserves the hate. And I think what you just said then does kind of align with me, which is if it's an outlier, it's kind of great and it's fun and it's funny and every part of it works. If they actually bring that character into Secret Wars, etc., though, that's going to be difficult. Do you not? Yeah. Do you see what I mean? It's going to be kind of tough. Like, what happens? Because it's going to be difficult. Like, something happens to her and there's some real jeopardy, and we're like, well, we know she can just step out of the screen. It's like, why does it matter? So, and I stand by that with Deadpool as well, which I think introducing him into the MCU, really, I think he needs to be an outlier as well. Hell, let them team up.
Yeah, these two teaming up could be hilarious. Yeah,
it would be absolutely. You want to talk about cameos in like a season 2, just like Deadpool walking, like she breaks through the TV, walking across Marvel, and Deadpool's going the other way, going, and another thing, Kevin.
Yeah.
You'd all just lose your damn mind. So
you can almost imagine them two on the screen, one of them reaching up and hitting the top corner, and the little pause but icon turning up, and then facing each other, going, "How? This doesn't make sense. What you do? What am I doing? Wait, let's sort this out. Let's sort this out once, and then hit the top corner so it plays and carries on." You could see that happening, and you having a laugh and a joke with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There is a place for that. Absolutely, there's a place for it. But the problem is if it's not that, and that's kind of where my concern was. But just standalone, it's very funny. And like I said, that finale, wow, I could never have predicted it. In fact, I've seen it twice. No. I'm still not sure it's real. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I had like a fever dream.
But do you not feel that it was completely in keeping with the rest of the episodes? It was just everything that happened, every conversation we've had about this show in the last 9 weeks has been, I'm confused. What? Eh? What's happening?
It was definitely tone correct. And and I think it served once again to be Jen controlling her narrative, literally, like taking it from the writers, which was like.
And again, that was part of the, that's part of her story, her evolution into the character. Who am I? Am I Jen? Am I She-Hulk? How do I toe the line between the two? Actually, that's down to me. You don't get to influence what I do, and I think that's a really good message.
Yes, if you don't like your life, blame the writers.
Yeah.
Seriously, whoever's writing my life's a sick bastard. Okay, well that is all my notes and all I had to say on the She-Hulk series. Did either of you, well, Stefan, I'll go to you first. Did you have anything else from any notes or any other points you wanted to make?
The only other thing I had was, we were talking about when they were in the writer's room.
Yeah.
You said you paused it and you kind of read what was behind there. The only thing I saw was the fact that the episode was 107 and 108. That was the only other note I've got here. So that's what the episode numbers were that was behind her shoulder.
Oh, okay.
What the heck are they making 108 episodes of?
That's just how they no. It's season 1, episode 08. That's how they write it.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because in my head, I was like, holy crap, they're really going for this.
Yeah. No, in TV, you write 11. The season number and then the episode number. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, that was a really boring answer to that. Sorry. Kaylee, go on.
Was that Jessica Gao in the writer's room?
I don't think so. It was it? Oh,
it was.
I didn't know.
Sure it was.
I have got up the little bits of trivia. And when I clicked on here, so it is Jessica Gao, Zeb Wells, and Cody Ziegler are the actual writers of the series, and all three of them were in the writers' room of Marvel.
Okay.
And apparently, in her text... Oh, go on.
No, you carry on.
No, I've got another part. You go back to that one. I'll come on to this in a minute.
Oh, right. No, I was just going to say, do you think that is them poking fun at themselves, or is that a bit narcissistic to put yourself in the show?
That one.
Heck yeah, I'd put myself in a show. Yeah.
Yeah. This brings me back to James Corden again. Never writes anything where he don't put himself in it.
Yeah.
Tell me, narcissistic bastard. Anyway, you got another one.
The other one is when Jennifer is scrolling through her text messages, there's a text message from Grant that apparently reads, "A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy." Which is, Rick Ashley's never going to give you up.
It's true.
So that was the other fun bit that I saw.
She got rickrolled on a dating app. Never going to give you up.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, those were my two fun parts. There you go.
So that is the end of She-Hulk. That is the end of our series discussing it. Keep an eye on all our socials. We will let you know if they announce a season 2. We will be back, as in me and Stefan, talking about all the other shows that we talk about. And we as a 3 will be back to talk about Werewolf by Night. A show which I thought was going to terrify me, but didn't. So I'm happy that I survived it.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to do that podcast just because there's so much we need to say.
Cruel, but funny.
I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it.
That we will get out to you very soon, so you got it in time for Halloween as part of the Halloween special on Disney+. We, as a 3, will also talk other things Marvel going forward. I think, Kaylee, I've not scared you off. You're still happy to come back?
If you'll have me.
Well,
I guess the next big one is Wakanda Forever.
I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that yet. I need to work myself up.
I have opening day tickets, so I will have to wait for you guys to watch it before I can talk to anyone about it, which is torture.
Look, a massive thank you to everybody for listening to us. I hope you've enjoyed our discussions of She-Hulk. If you'd like to discuss She-Hulk with us directly, you can via our Discord server. You won't be able to find a link to it if you've not already joined, because the bloody things expire constantly, but Stefan can send it to you. So,
yes.
Email Stefan, STEPHAN, at stuffandthangspodcast.com, and you will be able to get the link at any time. If you want to just send abuse, send it to the usual address, as you always do.
They know that one.
They know that one. Stefan, say goodbye to everybody.
See you later.
Kaylee, say goodbye to the lovely people.
Goodbye, lovely people.
And I'll leave you with probably my favourite line in any Marvel series ever.
That's it? We're done?
That's it? You obliterated the thrilling ending Kevin formulated.
Well, yeah, that's what Hulks do. We smash things. Bruce smashes buildings, I smash fourth walls and bad endings. And sometimes Matt Murdock.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.